Brightburn. Is it the surprise of the year? Let's talk about that. What's up, guys? Ethan Rowe here. First things first, don't take your kids to see this movie. No, you should not take your kids to see this movie. Just because it's a different take on Superman, it's not what you're expecting. I tell you that. The only reason I tell you all this is because in the row or two rows above me, well, like in front of me, at the movie theater, seeing this movie, these parents brought their kid, like I'm thinking like 13, maybe 14. I mean, I know that's a little bit maybe old enough, but you know, I wouldn't take my 13 or 14-year-old to see this movie because it is not what you're expecting. But I'm not going to go into spoilers or anything like that. I just wanted to get that out there. But all right, Brightburn. This movie surprised the hell out of me, honestly. Of course, I was already excited going in to see it, but like whenever I walked out, I was like, huh, that was a really good surprise. This movie is a flat-out horror movie, even though it's a different take on the origin of Superman. Of course, they had to change the names of the characters probably for copyright reasons, but they changed the names of the characters, but it's still the same story in a way. Of course, he comes to Earth as a baby. The mom and dad raise him, and you know, the original story, it's just like that. But you get right from the get-go that this is a horror movie. And like, this is not just a horror superhero origin story. It's also a serial killer origin story, just by the way that this movie was told. Like, I would compare it to probably a Jeffrey Dahmer type deal horror story, or John Wayne Gacy, or you know, any other serial killer that you can think of. Think about how they became to kill. This is that movie. And it shows how deprived or messed up, I wouldn't say deprived, but how messed up this child is. Well, once he started discovering his powers, and he really had no empathy at all. Like, whenever he didn't get his way or anything like that, it just pissed him off even more, and he would just freaking kill the person. And oh my God, the gore in this movie was very unexpected. All right, think about it like this. You take Superman. Imagine what he can do, because I mean, he's invincible if there's no kryptonite around. He is invincible. He could squash a human being just like that if he really wanted to. That's pretty much it. But it was just very surprising how the gore was in this movie. Like, it was flat out in your face. And I'm not one for a lot of gore, but it was just handled very well in this movie. Of course, they didn't try to like go over the top with it and make it unbelievable, but I would say it was done in a classy way. I mean, it wasn't gore all the way throughout this movie, but whenever the death scenes happen, like, they didn't hold back. No, sir, they did not. Or ma'am. Equal opportunity here. But, and you can like, what you see in the trailer is what you think you're going to get, but it's not what you're getting. I mean, pretty much what you saw in the trailer was about maybe 75% of the movie. That's pretty much it. So you could tell what was coming from what you saw in the trailer, but that's pretty much in the beginning. And after that, you're pretty much guessing the whole time. And honestly, I just love this movie. Like, this is probably my number 2 movie of the year so far, behind Avengers Endgame, of course. But this was definitely a good surprise. I said earlier to the people I know, the people that are close to me, that this was the sleeper of the year. And they're like, what's that? It was like, was it that bad? I was like, no. This is going to be a movie that's not going to be all that talked about, honestly. I do hope it does well in the box office, because there could be a chance for sequels in this movie. I kind of hope we get a sequel. And I'm not one for, jumping into the idea of a sequel. But for this movie, I really hope it does. But anyways, I hope this movie is not going to be talked about very much. I mean, I'm sure in the horror community it's going to have all the rave about it. And maybe to some of like the superhero community, because, it's a very different take on the superhero origin story. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be interested in that as well. But I'm sure of course, this movie came out the same weekend as Aladdin did. And of course, that's very tough competition in and of itself, because whenever I went to the movie theater on Saturday to see it, there wasn't a lot of people in the theater, honestly, to see this movie. I mean, there was quite a few, but there just wasn't a lot. And I guarantee you, most everybody in that theater parking lot went to see Aladdin. Of course, I heard it did 105 million opening weekend, so that says it right there. But more about this movie. The acting was great. The cast was pretty damn on point. It was on point. I'm jumbling my words here. The score was amazing. Honestly, the movie wouldn't have been nowhere near as good if that score wasn't on point. The storyline flowed very well. Pacing was very well. Of course, there were times in the movie that I was just like, wasn't really losing interest, but I could feel like the slow points in this movie. But as soon as I started thinking that, things just started picking up right, like, immediately. So that's a plus. This movie never lost you. I was never bored. And there was actually some times in this movie that I was actually on the edge of my seat. And it's honestly rarely ever happens to me going to see a horror movie. It didn't happen to me whenever I saw Us in the theaters. Of course, that was before I started this YouTube channel or like really committed to it. But never happened to me with Us. I think the last movie that really had me on the edge of my seat like that was The Conjuring. Even though The Conjuring was a scarier movie, this movie legit scared me at times. And that is a really good thing. It's a very good thing. And this movie, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it does lead into a sequel or sequels, if you will. I can definitely see it like having multiple sequels, honestly, and I kind of hope that we get that, because it's just the lore in this movie alone is so interesting. It's like, he's just a 12-year-old in this movie. What about whenever he grows up? What can he do then? I'll actually be a little bit scared going in to see a sequel because of knowing what he does in this movie. And it's just the way, it's like you can tell whenever a kill is coming, but they kind of drag it out just a little bit just to make you more on edge. And whenever it does happen, boom. And at some points I did jump in this movie. Of course, I did jump at not like a fake jump scare, if you will. And I felt very embarrassed. I'm just glad no one saw it. But what was I going to say? Oh, I was like ugh, the pacing. I mean, not the pacing, but just the way they drag certain scenes out, and you'll be able to tell what scenes I'm talking about. You're just gonna be like, oh my god, like, do it already. And honestly, of course, you can tell from the trailers or the posters that he has a mask on, and it will reveal why he wears a mask. At least I think it did. But that mask with those red eyes is actually pretty chilling in a way. So at the end of the day, I really love this movie. And of course, I went in it with an open mind, with a little bit of hype. I didn't try to overhype it, but this is definitely a great surprise. I would definitely recommend this movie, but go see it in the theater. You want that experience. I can guarantee it. So, what am I going to rate this movie? Well, I'm going to rate this movie a 9.0 out of 10. It really deserved that. And by the way, Elizabeth Banks is in this movie as well, and she did a phenomenal job. I don't really think I've ever seen her in a horror movie, but she pulls it off. She makes it believable. But anyways, I give this movie a 9.0 out of 10. Very well deserved. I hope there's a sequel, or sequels, if you will. And it's damn. That's all I can say. It's just damn. And remember, I'm a bad guy. You'll get that at the end of the movie. But anyways, I just wanted to give y'all just my quick non-spoiler review for Brightburn, if you will. And I hope to, I don't know, it's just, I hope there's more sequels. But anyways, be sure to like and subscribe. Like this video and subscribe if you already haven't. And be sure to hit the bell so you'll be notified whenever I do post. And in the meantime, I will talk to you guys later.